Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, unfortunately, the Yankees are still a pile of haven't done much better since the last update, and highlighted again by yet another sweep at the hands of the Boston Red Sox. This time, the Yankees going up to Fenway to do it, and it's just frustrating. Fans are just wondering what's wrong with this team, why they haven't taken off yet. Really slipping down in the standings, and the only good part is like the Orioles are like 20 games below, behind in the standings. So the Yankees probably won't get that bad, but right now it looks like the Yankees are kind of struggling between third and fourth place in the AL East, which is for this team, the squad. You look at the players they have, it's just a mystery. And again, just more of a mystery with the Red Sox, where you just look at them and it's like, how are they doing this? You have Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers having some good seasons, but it's look of a rotation that has Nick Pivetta and Nathan Eovaldi and Eduardo Rodriguez. You just look at this and like, how are they in first place? And then you look at the Yankee roster and it's just like, what's going on here? So fans are still upset. Again, a lot of people want to blame Boone. As I said last time, there's only so much he could do in a way. I mean, you can only calibrate the lineup so way to score runs. It's just the fact is that it's not a fluid lineup, that it's not scoring runs. And Boone, again, his first full 2 seasons as a Yankee manager, winning over 100 games. So, you loved him then. I can't believe all of a sudden now he forgot how to manage. So I don't think that's the issue. And now Cashman, again, you could probably put a little bit on him. I mean, this is his team, so to speak. He did decide to bring Corey Kluber in, and he went down, even though I thought it was a good move. They did decide to, hey, let's bring back Brett Garner for one more seasons, which we all kind of liked the move. And it was kind of weird, but we all like the idea of getting Clint Frazier a full-time starting job in left field, including me. So, we're all kind of on board with these moves. We all wanted DJ LeMahieu back. And all right, maybe he did hit a little bit Fenway, so he did show some signs he's breaking out of it. But clearly it's not the DJ LeMahieu we've seen the past 2 seasons. So kind of mystery what's going on with him. But again, we were all on board on bringing him back. So really no one you can blame here. It's just kind of on the players. They just got to get better. And, I kind of like a broken record saying this over and over again. But I just feel like they just have to get better, and they're going to get better because you just have too many good players to be struggling like this. Gleyber Torres, who, this was someone a couple of seasons ago was like an all-star, and someone's like, wow, this is going to be one of the great infields of the game in the next, 10 years. So what happened to the guy? I mean, but he's like 24 years old. It's not like he's over the hill. So I don't think he just forgot how to play baseball. So could be an issue unless he's hurt or something and he's trying to play through it, which is admirable. But other than that, it's just kind of explain why him and a lot of other players aren't hitting as well. A few bright spots, at least Gary Sanchez finally kind of woke up. I mean, he's got to the point where Boone's putting him in the third place hole a few times. So again, that just show, he has been hitting a little bit better. So at least on that aspect, he's picked it up a little bit. Judge has been pretty steady Eddie the whole season. Hasn't been fantastic, but he's been pretty good, and what you would expect from him, and he's been healthy. So one of the things going into the season was can Judge and Stan stay healthy? Well, it hasn't really been the case with Stan, but with Judge it has been the case. So really can't blame too much of this on him. And he did earn an all-star vote, trip to the all-star game, which I think he deserves. Now, fans also voted for DJ LeMahieu as well. Now, I don't think he really deserves it. But again, with the All-Star game, the starters, really doesn't matter because fans vote. And then you could be having the worst season ever, but if you just get a lot of votes, you get in. So Judge and DJ will represent the Yankees at the All-Star game, which is good. DJ doesn't really deserve it, but for whatever, it doesn't matter anyway. And we'll see what they do with reserves. Players don't want to play in this thing. They drop out and then they grab someone last minute. So, you might see someone like Chapman go, who knows, like that. But for this team, they just need to really just start hitting. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, pitching for the most part has been okay. I mean, the Yankees don't get blown out that much. The scores are usually pretty close. They're competitive. The Yankees show some fight, especially against the Red Sox. They try to get some, rallies late, but they just can't get that big hit. It seems like they choke and they just don't have it this season. So, but overall, I think they'll be able to bounce back. I've been repeating it a million times. It's just there's too many good players for them to be this bad. And at some point, Stan has to get on a roll. And before Stan went down with the quad, I mean, he was hitting the ball good. He was hitting some home runs. He was looking great. And then he had the quad injury. He did come back, but he really hasn't been the same yet. But if he gets into the flow of things, you get Gleyber to get into the flow of things. It's just, just take the pressure off everyone else. And I think the lineup will turn it around. Again, the pitching has been there. So that's the good news. It's not like this getting blown out. We don't have a chance. And again, at some point, the Yankees will get reinforcements with Kluber returning and Severino returning, which we'll get into a second. So again, I don't think, going to full panic mode. And I know a lot of people saying, oh, trade deadline, get rid of this player, get rid of that player, sell the team off. I don't think the Yankees are there yet. The last time the Yankees was 2016, but that was just a totally different situation. That was before the baby bombers came up. That's before they brought up Gary Sanchez and Judge and all these Severinos and all these players. That was an older team. That was an aging team. You had Carlos Beltran. You had A-Rod, who the Yankees said, you know what, we're just going to give you like $20 million just to go home and stay away from this team. So that's when they started trading off all those pieces. They traded off Miller. They traded off Chapman when the Yankees had him the first go around. But that was just a totally different situation. It was an old team. You just see it wasn't going anywhere. So you can understand why Cashman sold everything off. This year, 2021, I just don't think the Yankees are going to do that, mainly because they're within striking distance, more or less. And number two, it's a young team. You have a lot invested in this. You have a lot invested in Cole. You're paying a boatload of money for, and you bought in pieces like Brett Gardner to come back and Darren O'Day to come back. And I just don't think you're just going to start just tearing the team down. I don't think they're at that level yet. They're close. They do need a few pieces, which we'll get into. But overall, I think this need to stay the course and just, hope finally guys to start hitting. And as they say, hitting is contagious. Maybe we'll go up and down the lineup. And also now, which we'll also get into, getting into a lot of stuff in this episode. The umpires in baseball kind of cracking down on pitches using sticky substances to get more of a spin rate and better fastballs. Well, already offense is up a little bit. They just started checking players very recently, and already it's paying dividends. Offense is up a little bit, spin rates are down a little bit. So I think that will help the Yankees. May not help Cole, but it's a different situation. But I think it'll help the Yankee hitters. So I think, once we start getting to the really hot months, which, now the temperature's starting to cook a little bit, get the ball to fly out a little bit more in Yankee Stadium. And I think they'll get a little better there. And for the Red Sox, again, they're putting together a fantastic season. I just see it hard to imagine them keeping this up for an entire season. Because again, you look at that roster and really your eyes don't pop out of your head. So it's hard how they're doing this. I just think once the Yankees kind of get back to what they could do, and they'll at some point, maybe August, be able to catch up with the Red Sox, and then we'll have maybe a classic, hopefully like a Boston Massacre or something, where the Yankees just go mop the floor with them, which, the Red Sox deserve it. So now let's get into the pitching. Of course, the Yankees were hoping Luis Severino would be close on his way back, but unfortunately had a setback in one of the rehabs. Looks like, could be a groin issue. So he was throwing on the mound, and then something was, stopped, grabbed his leg. Basically couldn't walk. He needed to be helped off the mound. So he was shut down for a while. Now he is throwing on flat ground again. So he has to now build up his strength to get back on the mound and make some rehab starts. So again, you're probably looking at July-ish getting him back. But overall, again, pitching hasn't been the problem with the Yankees. But of course, you would welcome back Severino, who again, before Cole was kind of what you call the Yankees ace. And you just got to hope, he could kind of find that again, just to lengthen out the rotation. Michael King's been okay, but of course, rather have Severino in there. And the Yankees are getting some reinforcements in the bullpen. Darren O'Day will be back, as well as Justin Wilson. And of course, remember O'Day, the Yankees brought him in as a free agent, tough on righties, and again, he has that funky delivery. So he's also probably annoying for lefties as well, and was doing well for the Yankees initially, but he was shut down for a while. And of course, Wilson, last time we saw him, he served up a game-winning home run in Detroit. So I'm not sure if fans are dying to see him, and really hasn't put it together this season. In the limited time he's been with the Yankees so far, really hasn't put it together, very inconsistent. And, a lot of it might have been, might have been his groin, or it might have been his hamstring that's been bothering him. So hopefully he's finally back healthy. And the Yankees are going to need a little bit, because they, did take a little bit of blow at Zach Britton, again, because he was delayed to start the season with the off-season surgery to clean up the elbow a little bit. He comes back, but unfortunately up in Fenway, he has to limp off the mound. Looks like he apparently has a hamstring upper butt muscle issue himself. So really no timetable when they're going to get him back. And again, he's kind of valuable. Again, he's the eighth inning guy for the Yankees. Now, it's not really like a death blow. I mean, the Yankees bullpen has been pretty good. And again, getting O'Day back, especially, that's someone you could put as an eighth inning guy. And, Green's been okay for the most part. And Chapman, even though coughing up a little bit, overall, you would say he's having a good season. But really, Severino, it's really important to get it back, because Kluber, they don't really have a timetable on him yet. Looking like, remember they said, oh, he's not going to be back till August, but they really, the injury's not as bad as we thought it was, but we still don't have a clear timetable on him. So again, any reinforcement the Yankees can get in the rotation is going to be a big help. As I mentioned previously, that baseball is going to start cracking down on the use of foreign substances by the pitchers. Again, and it's really showing some results. So, as you may recall, that the RPM spin rate's been through the roof, record highs throughout baseball early on, and not a lot of offense. Offense way down, and again, in terms of watching a game for viewership, kind of puts you asleep a little bit. And I guess maybe a lot of hitters were complaining, and probably a lot of wisping around baseball. So again, baseball had umpires now start checking players, their equipment, check the glove, check under the cap, check on the belt, and some players, some pitchers have been a little adamant about it, a little over dramatic. Of course, I'm sure you've seen that Matt Scherzer kind of ripping his shirt open. A lot of players has been pulling almost pulling their pants down, coming close to do that. It's like, come on, search me, which is like, why are you making a big deal about it? Just give the umpire 2 seconds, let him just search your glove real quick. I know it's a little, no one wants to be stop and frisked. I get that, but still, hey, umpires just got to do the jobs, take 2 seconds, let them search and go back in. But it does seem though very interesting that now offense is a little creeping up since they started this little crackdown with and as well as spin rate's been down. So it does go to show that pitchers were probably dabbling in this stuff to get a better grip and get a better spin rate on the ball and maybe get a faster fastball. So seems like it is paying off. And then again, should be good news for the Yankees a little bit. As mentioned earlier, again, a lot of hitters have been struggling, and maybe it's just now they'll start, instead of striking out as much, maybe start be able to make some more contact and start scoring some more runs. And of course, just with the hotter months of the summer, get the ball to fly a little bit more so they could, help out the pitching, which has been doing the job for the Yankees. Just the hitters haven't been. And one pitcher did get nailed, actually, Seattle's Hector Santiago. He was the first player to get busted on this. So they found some sticky stuff in the palm of the glove. Now he said, "Oh, I'm just using rosin. That's it." But it turns out it's whatever violation it is, whatever substance it was. So he's the first player to be nailed with it. So assume you're going to see some more eventually. But the way it is baseball, whether it's sticky stuff or PEDs, everyone's going to still try it. Cano's already been busted twice for PEDs, so you're always going to try something. So I'm sure they're going to try to find putting the substance, putting a grip somewhere else. So again, what you should do is the situation is this: if you can do that stuff, just do it in the dugout, have it on your fingers, and just go out there and hopefully it stays on, the whole inning. So what can the Yankees do trade deadline to fix this team? Well, the main problem is it's not really a fluid lineup. And the Yankees really don't have a true leadoff hitter, which they really haven't had in years. And they don't have what you would call like a true number 3 type hitter. And that's the kind of where like the losing Aaron Hicks was kind of a big blow, because he was someone you could slot in the third hole and he was kind of perfect there. Again, switch hitter with some power. Now, again, he never really had a high batting average, but always had a high on-base percentage, always worked the count a lot. So many times, like, he would be behind 1 and 2, and next thing you know, you look up again, he's 3-2, and he's fouling off pitches. And even if he makes an out, he's now made the pitcher uncork 8-9 pitches, which, for a starting pitcher, hey, that adds up, and that's someone who's going to be out there that much sooner. So that's where the Yankees kind of, really miss Hicks. Again, don't really have a number 3 type hitter. So the lineup is basically, maybe outside of Gardner of Wade plays, it's like 9 of the same type of player, just a right-handed power hitter type player. And it's just, you get your home runs there, maybe, 2 or 3 run home run, great, everyone claps, have a good time. But in terms of fluid lineup back and forth, being a tough on opposing pitcher, it's just not there. Because if you're a pitcher, especially a right-hander, you're kind of seeing the same type of player over and over and over again. You kind of just get it locked in on your footing and your arm angle. And it's really hard for the Yankees to kind of combat that. And that's kind of why they're in this situation where they can't score many runs. So what they would need is, they just, of course, they need the last offseason. They just need good quality left-handed bats. So where can you get that from? We'll see with the trade deadline. But ideally, if they could get some type of switch hitting or left-handed hitting center fielder, and the first base situation, get like a bona fide left-handed hitting first baseman type of player. And I'm not sure what you do with Voit, maybe move him around or something like that. But that's what the Yankees really need. And if you look around the diamond, that's really all you can do. You're not shipping out and trading Judge. You're not shipping out and trading Stanton. I'm not sure who's going to take Frazier or Andujar unless you package him in some deal. You're not going to move Gio Urshela because, again, he's fabulous at third base. And for the most part, he's been holding his own with the hitting. Gleyber Torres, I don't know if you want to give up on him yet. Again, but he's a right-handed kind of hitter. Obviously, DJ's locked up in the contract. You're not getting rid of him. And at least at this point, Gary Sanchez, he's the only one kind of hitting lately, ironically enough. I'm not sure you're moving him. So if there's someone going to be moved and what you really need, you kind of look at either center field or first base with Luke Voit and just doing something. Again, going back, it would have been great if Greg Bird worked out at first base because that's would have been perfect. Left-handed hitter, a la first baseman, a la Don Mattingly, a la Tino Martinez, and that type of guy. He was just perfect for the number 3 hole. That would be if they could find someone like him. Obviously, you're not bringing him back because that's just too many injuries and he's whatever. You're not going to deal with that. But if you get someone like that at first base, that would help the Yankees not only make the lineup just diversified a little bit in terms of righties and lefties, but get a bona fide first baseman, left-handed bat, number 3 type of hitter. That's what the Yankees really need. And then for center field, if you get kind of a slap hitter, a leadoff type hitter that could also play center field and hit leadoff, that would really help the lineup be more fluid and be tougher on opposing pitchers. Because, let's just go back to the 98 Yankees real quick. And again, it's not fair to compare, this Yankee team to one of the greatest Yankee teams or greatest baseball teams of all time. But look how that lineup is constructed, just the first 4 hitters. So remember, you used to have Chuck Knobloch. Again, a scrappy, speedy, perfect leadoff type of hitter. Also used to crouch down and like that with the bat. So like his strike zone was this big. So very tough on opposing pitches. So, and he was also a 300 type hitter. So whether he got to hit himself or since he had such a small strike zone, he would draw a walk, get on base. All right, so now he's on first base and he's a speedy guy. He's capable of stealing 30, 40 bases a year. So, well, if you're a first baseman, you have to hold him on. And if you hold him on at first base, well, now you have that big hole between first and second. Who's batting second? Derek Jeter. Great slap hitter, ideal number 2 hitter. And of course, he has that Jeter-esque inside out swing, drive the ball to that hole between first and second. Great. Now hits the ball there. Now it's first and second. Now Paul O'Neill's coming up. Well, Paul O'Neill, he's a perfect left-handed 300 type hitter, perfect for the number 3 hole. Well, you don't want the bases loaded. So at some point, that pitcher is going to give O'Neill something to hit. And again, he's a 320 type hitter actually back in the day. And he's going to get a single at some point. So now you got first and third, a run is in, and Bernie Williams is up. Well, Bernie's up. Now he doesn't have to get a hit. All he has to do is a sacrifice fly because he got a runner on third with less than 2 outs. So just flare something out into the outfield. Jeter scores. Now the Yankees are up 2-0 with only 1 out. Now, even if the pitcher gets out of that inning, the Yankees are already up 2-0. But you see how a fluid lineup works. That's what the Yankees just don't have because they don't really have a real number leadoff hitter and they don't have a real number 3 hitter. And that's why it's just feast or famine with these home runs. All right, so I know the Yankees are driving us all nuts. So let's lighten the mood a little bit. We'll stay within baseball, but we're going to switch it a little bit with a movie. Now, my next guest is a filmmaker. His name is Uzef Gavrilov. Last year, he filmed a movie during the pandemic called Gem Mint. It's out now and available for audiences. So let's bring him on to talk about it. Hi, Uzef. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
A pleasure having you. Again, you're the director of Gem Mint, a film we'll talk about shortly regarding baseball cards, which we all love. I used to collect them. People can follow you as well as the film. Instagram handles Gem Mint Movie, as well as check out the website, which includes a trailer, gemmintmovie.com. So again, thank you once again for joining us.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me.
Got it. So, give maybe audiences a brief synopsis about this movie, Gem Mint, regards because an individual, he's like a baseball card junkie and, kind of conflicts with some other parts of his life.
Yeah. So the story is basically about kind of a working class guy from Brooklyn. He is a baseball card dealer and kind of a semi-famous YouTube celebrity where he opens up packs of baseball cards on YouTube. And he is so obsessed and addicted with the world of baseball cards that he kind of starts to alienate his family away from him to the point where his wife actually leaves him and takes the kids. And then the rest of the movie is kind of him coming to grips with that and seeing if he can get his family back, but at the same time, not really dealing with the issue that pushed his family away from him in the first place.
And, I saw the movie yesterday. I enjoyed it. It was really funny. And obviously, I can see you're a Brooklyn guy, and like Brooklyn just jumps out really across the screen, like grabs you and like Brooklyn.
Yeah. That was like one of the key things that I wanted to do for this is kind of portray real like Brooklynite type of people. And I'm a lifelong Brooklynite, and I have probably like a lot of Brooklynites, a love-hate relationship with this place. But I just really wanted for my Brooklyn influence and stuff to come through in this movie.
Now, yourself growing up, I guess you're from Brooklyn. Yep. I mean, are you yourself a baseball fan, or did you used to be a card collector yourself?
Yeah, so I did have cards when I was a kid, and I still have some cards now, but I grew up like really poor. So I was never able to afford to like really get into the hobby. So most of my cards were hand-me-downs from cousins and uncles and stuff like that. But I'm really into like I guess you call it the culture of baseball card collecting, and how people can sort of rally behind something that's very fringy and almost obscure, but bond over it so much. Um, and I'm a huge baseball fan. I love baseball. I watch baseball as much as I can. But as far as cards go, I'm not really a collector, but I am into like the world of baseball cards.
And it's, I think one of the good things of the internet, and there's a lot of negatives and positive, but, specifically with like YouTube channels and, people like your character in the film, kind of has bought cards back because you don't really see the baseball card stores anymore. I mean, they're almost really almost gone. But yeah, I remember just being a kid, just like going into one, just looking, looking in the glass. And I mean, those are pretty much all gone now. So all you really have are people like the character in your film to kind of bring these cards and just give them life again.
Yeah, it's crazy because all of this stuff kind of just exploded a couple of years ago with like the baseball card YouTubing and the online world of baseball cards. But yeah, you're right. The what you would call like a local baseball card shop is all but extinct. I think in Brooklyn we have like one or two left. But yeah, I think YouTube is such a perfect medium for that type of thing. It's just taking the unboxing video and going in a different direction with it. And it's kind of cool. Like I feel like you can kind of live vicariously through these guys. Like you're opening up these cards when you're really not. And I think that's a big draw of it. People sort of living through these guys on the internet.
So now this film is kind of interesting because you started it last year during the height of the pandemic and actually had to put filming on pause. So kind of just give us the backstory, kind of the making of Gem Mint.
Sure. So I wrote it in January of 2020, and we began filming in March. We had filmed about 30% of the movie when the pandemic hit. And obviously at that point, we didn't know if we were going to be able to finish making it or even if there would be movies in the future. Things were so uncertain at that time. And maybe at around May or June, my lead actor dropped out of the film and moved away from New York. So we had to scrap the 30% that we had filmed already. We had to recast, get a new lead, do rehearsals all over again, and pretty much start from scratch. But once we got our new lead, it was pretty quick to finish the movie. But it did, COVID obviously delayed the entire process by a good, I would say almost a full year as far as the release of this film.
You mentioned that the original lead actor dropped out and then the individual, Michael Michelizzi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly?
Yep.
He was brilliant in it. So like maybe it was, whoever the original guy, but this was like a blessing in disguise. I mean, I saw this guy, I just thought it was just perfect for this character. Like it was just born to play that role.
Yeah, I agree. He was awesome. And in a lot of ways, it did work out better. I think our previous actor was not originally from New York. Michael is a born and raised New Yorker. He didn't really have to struggle too much to find the accent and the mannerisms. He's very familiar with all that stuff. Yeah, I think it ended up working out for the better, I think, at the end of the day. Yeah, you're right. He really was kind of born for that role. He was perfect in it.
Did you have any like maybe funny moments or weird moments as you're shooting and people like, what are you doing? So I know you have some scenes at, like a gas station, you have some outdoor scenes, but any kind of funny stories while you were filming?
Honestly, no. I think in New York, people are so used to seeing people doing weird stuff and filming stuff that we're just jaded. We don't even acknowledge it. No one ever said anything. No one was curious. It was pretty smooth in that respect. I've shot some films in the past where we kind of did it guerrilla style and we just went into a cafe and shot a scene there. And I have some stories from those instances, but this time really nothing went down. No weird stuff.
Resume the filming back in the summer. We got when the temperature was hotter and maybe COVID wasn't as scary. So when did you actually finish filming and how long was like the editing process?
So we started the second round of shooting in September, and then we wrapped by the end of September. At that time, the case numbers were at their lowest, I think, that they were since the beginning of the pandemic. And like you said, it was warm outside. So I think that's kind of good for preventing the spread. And then the editing process took substantially longer than the shooting process. It was about a 4-month process for editing. Again, I pretty much did everything myself, and that kind of made it take longer than it might have taken normally. But yeah, it was probably from start to shoot to lock of film, probably about 5 months.
So where can audience actually physically see this film?
So you can just go to gemmintmovie.com, and there's a little button there that says watch now, and that'll take you directly to the streaming service where you can purchase it. It's $5, less than the cost of a pack of cards these days. And I think you get a decent amount of movie for your buck.
No, I enjoyed it. It's well worth it.
Thank you.
And I mean, are you working on any future projects?
Yeah, I have, I'm writing a couple things now. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to do something smaller, maybe a short film for my next thing, just because it's so grueling making a full length. So I just wanted to do something a little bit more fun and low stakes. So probably some sort of short film. I'm not exactly sure yet.
Gotcha. And any like, feedback from this, from people who've seen the film, like this came at you like, wow, this is great. Or maybe someone like you didn't expect to reach out to you about the film, gave you some good feedback on it.
Yeah, the feedback's been great. I've mostly been sort of marketing to the baseball crowd, the baseball card crowd. I think this is a good movie for them. I think they would enjoy it. Most of the specific feedback I've gotten is, I don't know if you're familiar with the scene of baseball cards, but apparently there's someone in real life whose story very closely mimics the main character in the film. I wasn't aware of this person, but I've been getting a lot of feedback that, oh, this is just like this guy. I don't even want to mention his name, but and other than that, I've gotten some comments about how some people, I guess, are a little put off by the amount of cursing in the film. There's a decent amount of cursing. This is some F-bombs and stuff, but it's mostly just exclamatory cursing. It's not really people violently cursing at each other and stuff like that.
Yeah, and a lot of cursing is like this. Normally said, like some of the driving scenes. Like I just saw myself in the character. This trying to drive through traffic, and the comments you make to yourself, or the sarcastic comments you make to other drivers.
Right. Yeah, I wanted it to be real. I mean, if you walk around Brooklyn, especially where I'm from, South Brooklyn, that's essentially what you're going to hear all day. So I wanted it to just be accurate to that.
All right. So again, Uzef, thank you again for joining us again. People can follow you as well as the film on Instagram, Gem Mint Movie. And of course, check out the film itself again via the website, gemmintmovie.com. Again, great film. Good luck with you and all your future projects.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words, and thanks for having me on.